This is your country? I don't think it is. You just like rolled in here and like took control, and then you get to do stuff in my country my ancestors built. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And
don't you feel that?
Of course. I'm a history guy and nerd. And so, like they're corrupting the way that my country, my people are going to be remembered by future generations. And that offends me. It really does bother me. But a lot of people today would find that sentiment sort of antiquated and just kind of silly. And that's unfortunate, because what that means is that you have a people who is no longer living historically. They don't have the mentality that certain things for centuries my ancestors shepherded so that they could hand them down to me. And it is my job to steward those things to make sure that the next generation can carry it on. It's
turning the family home into an Airbnb. It's degradation. Random strangers are like wrecking your house that your ancestors built. That's how I feel.
That's what's happening.
And the people renting it, and it's so much like the Bolshevik Revolution. It's like none of the people leading the revolution or with power like have any connection to the country at all.
I kind of look at that almost as emblematic of the disintegration of the old WASP power structure that over the years made its mistakes, had its faults, all these kind of things, but had a proprietary sense of, this is our country. This was my father's country, and it's going to be my son's country.
Yeah, don't have another passport.
Right. And they had their hands on the steering wheel. Even as we had an open system that was self-governed to a large degree, there was a ruling class that ruled with a very light hand for the most part, that had their hand on the steering wheel. And when that last generation, after the Cultural Revolution and the Vietnam War, sort of made it so that those people's own children, they just didn't want to do it anymore. They lost legitimacy in their own eyes. Their own college professors told them they had no right to rule. They took their hands off the steering wheel. And ever since then, the American system has really been under the control of whatever highly organized, well-funded minority group can manage to get its hands on the controls. If you go from 1948, when the State of Israel was founded, up until the late 60s, early 70s, people have this idea that America has always had this tremendous Zionist influence. And it's been there at certain elite levels and stuff, but it was never this overwhelming force that we started to see in the last several decades. And it was because you had guys like George Kennan, these old WASP guys who were who saw the big picture and were still living historically, who were like, if these neocons would have rolled into their administration and started barking orders at them, they would have told them to get lost. Now that just doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's time horizon is their own lifetime at most. Most people aren't even thinking that far ahead. And their sense of continuity is completely cut off from the past and future. And that's why the American government, ever since really like the 1980s at least, but certainly since the 1990s, has just been sort of this tool in the hands of whatever organized minority is controlling it at the time, or at least controlling certain aspects of it.